I've changed my identity. I've done the yang approach to coaching. I get somewhere and suddenly you fall back into an old pattern. What was the trigger for your body to actually have that physiological release? And sometimes, unless you put the body in the same physical environment, that it doesn't come up. But you put the body in the same physical environment where that trauma occurred, that's when the body starts to abreact. And so creating an approach which is a neurological or cognitive to coaching, a somatic release therapy, if you were to bring the two together, you would have a coach today that truly is working from a holistic approach with the clients in an authentic way, genuine way.
The Connect Coaching, Unplugged.
This has been very well anticipated. Looking forward to sharing everything Arthur Babliss with you today. Arthur Babliss is the CEO and founder of Conscious Mastery Academy. 47 years experience in business and serving others, 30 years experience in the field of complementary medicine, personal growth, human potential, and he did his first Tony Robbins all the way back in 1994. Master trainer of NLP, master trainer of hypnosis, master trainer of kinesiology and energy psychology. He has a Bachelor of Health Science degree, a Bachelor of Economics degree, a grad diploma in nutritional science, diploma in professional kinesiology practice, and he's had plenty of past roles, from being the past president of the Australian Institute of Kinesiology, past senior faculty of International College of Professional Kinesiology Practice, and faculty in Nature Care College and Australasian College of Natural Therapies. He is as I mentioned, the founder of MBX Institute, which is now the Conscious Mastery Academy, creator of neurosomatic dynamics, a cognitive and somatic approach to healing and transformation. He's worked personally with over 10,000 students and clients, a dad of 3 beautiful adult children or kids, now young adults, and a man with a mission to serve and make a difference and help raise the standard in the industry. Welcome to Connect Unplugged, episode 7, Arthur Babliss. Great to have you here.
James, now. An introduction.
Callum, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that intro. And, you're reading that and you think back, wow, you did all that? Or you've done all that?
When he was reading it, I was thinking the same thing, Arthur. That is incredibly impressive.
It's like, and I think, you guys said to me, just do a little bit of a bio and just write some things down. And as I wrote them down to give them to you, I thought, I'm not writing this down to impress anyone. Because certainly we look in the mirror every day and we think, are we better than the day we were yesterday? Everyone suffers this, am I good enough type of syndrome, right? But I write that down to impress upon, I suppose, myself and everyone else that, with the work that we do, it's constantly growing and evolving. And we're just like everyone else. We're just on a journey, and we're coming from a space of experience. We're coming from a space of being on that journey, being on that roller coaster, the ups and downs, the peaks and the troughs. And your lessons come from the troughs as opposed to the peaks.
I would definitely agree with that, Arthur, for sure. And if there's one person that I've met along my journey in the professional development field, is you are 100% committed and all in on doing the work. And it's amazing to watch where you've come, even in the last 5 years. We met, I think, back in 2014 or 16.
14, I think it was. We're in the same NLP TT.
That's right. Yeah. And, just seeing the transformation you've gone on, not just with your business, not just with how you teach, not just in your master trainer journey, but also in holding yourself to a higher standard across all contexts of your life, and always be willing to do the work when stuff comes up. You and I have had plenty of conversations, and we were talking about having tough conversations before we came on today. But you and I have had plenty of tough conversations at different points of that journey. And one thing I'll always say is, whilst you were associated in the experience with me, and you were always willing to take those other positions, you were able to look through it through your eyes, through my eyes, and I guess from a greater objective point of view. And I think that's one of your great strengths, because even when you do feel challenged, even when you do feel like wow, this is bringing some stuff up, you're always willing to dive in and figure out how can you leverage this to be one of your greatest, points of improvement right now. And I admire that about you. It's really, really cool. So what's
Thank you for that. So that's like perceptual positions live, right?
Exactly.
Applying perceptual positions in the daily life.
exactly what I was thinking in my mind, but some of our viewers might not know what that is. So
Well, they need to come and find out.
there you go. No, it's great. It's great to have you here today. And I guess more recently, your work in wanting to raise the standard of the coaching and the therapy industry as a whole, and how you often say this line to me, not all wisdom is in your school, and it comes from ancient Hawaiian Huna. You've gone out to seek other experts amongst a very wide range of different fields to hone in your skills, but to also bring that back to your clients and to your community and to your audience. What have you found over that time in more recent times, and what is it that you're discovering, and what is this new methodology and these new ideas that you're wanting to bring into the industry?
Wow, geez, you want to fast forward, go past the 25 years and get back to the last 5 years.
Let's dive in, mate. Let's dive right in.
Well, again, I want to thank both of you guys for actually having us on today. I mean, not only is it a privilege to be able to share a microphone with all of you, and I think we all got the Rode mics. Yeah, so we're all supporting the Australian company.
All roads lead to connect.
We should contact Rode and say, hey, send us some of your material because we promote it for you. Sponsor. And it's truly a humbling experience to actually share time with you, because I look at what you guys are doing together now in your Connect coaching, and you're really providing, you're plugging a gap, which I believe is in the industry, which has always been in the industry, from 30 years when I started and became a massage therapist and a Reiki healer. And I used to go to the Mind, Body, Spirit festivals, wear my turtlenecks and my vest, my crystals out here, and had a mullet.
Awesome. That's so good.
I used to take my aura reading, right? Had to get my aura every year, did my aura change, did I clear it and all that type of stuff. This is back 98, 99, all those years. From back then, people would come into the field of complementary medicine or personal growth of human potential. And most times it's because people had a healing. They went and saw a practitioner, they went and saw a healer, they went and saw someone when they were struggling in their life and had one of these moments. And they had right? I'm going to be playing what you said. Be yourself. I'm going to use my sound effects, right?
Do it.
Okay. And they had a healing. And because of that, they had that sympathetic, parasympathetic shift in the neurology. And they are opening up, and great sign behind you, Callum. They believed at that moment that the future is brighter than what it was before. And it opens up a field of possibilities for them, right? And they think, wow, I want to do this. I want to be able to help other people. And we gravitated in this field of healing or health or complementary medicine or coaching back then because we wanted to make a difference, right? Because we wanted to help other people. And what I've seen, and I'll get to your question, Callum, because this is the backstory to answering that question, right? What I've seen, what I saw back then, what I experienced, and myself, it's like a young industry, right? We weren't regulated. We wanted to be regulated. We got regulated. We become unregulated. And so we've seen this dramatic change in that educational landscape in this industry, from having quality training programs, registered training organizations, which we were at one stage, providing diplomas and whatever the case is, to all that disappearing and just having an industry top of regulation. And what does that mean? And there's good and there's less than good to that. And I don't want to say good and bad because, of course, as Callum and you would know, Colin, that's a dichotomy that we create in our head, right? I mean, why can't we say good and gooder or rich and richer? All right? It's the perception. But that's the perception people had back then. And I think when you came into this field, you fell into this rite of passage, like you became you created this codependency. You wanted to be a mart and help as many people as you can.
Yep.
And of course, you can only help people that want to help themselves. We know that, right? And I think that the therapy model has that attached to it. They just want to be able to make a difference. And you got this healer archetype, and Jung called it the wounded healer archetype that we need to heal and to evolve from. And on the flip side, now in the modern world of coaching, we've seen this change. You've got the entrepreneur, All right. And so you got the entrepreneur archetype over here, and you got the healer archetype over here. And they're almost two opposites, right? So dichotomy within themselves. It's like, well, how do you create a business today, staying authentic to the healing? How can they heal it today? Actually create the business and not let go of what they wanted to do, what they want to do in the first place. Because a lot of people build their businesses from a wounded healer perspective. I know my dad, right? My dad he came from Greece back in 1956 it was. He was at 1956 Olympics in Melbourne, right? And
He was at it, did you say?
yeah, he was at it. Yeah, he came.
As in a participant or
no, watching. No, the
Okay.
participant. I knew that's where you would go straight. Yes, he was a participant. He was a great spectator. Participant.
the Domade event. How many Domades can you roll in an hour?
Yeah, that's right. And so he just businesses. That's the entrepreneur. He was a sole trader. The entrepreneur, from bakeries to delicatessens to fruit shops. Con the fruiterer, beautiful. That was my dad, right? And
Right.
And what I learned from him is that we had those beliefs. You got to work hard, because they didn't have anything much in their life. You got to work hard, and they held close to the values. And but he was in Melbourne, and he gave and gave and gave and gave support to his family, and he went bankrupt, right? And so there's that energy, that miasm, as we say, that energy through the family tree. And so I know I was building my business from a wounded entrepreneur perspective. How many other people build their businesses today from a wounded entrepreneur? So you got the wounded healer and the wounded entrepreneur. What if we did the ultimate parts integration? The ultimate merging the best of the entrepreneur. What does the entrepreneur have that the healer would like? What does the healer have that the entrepreneur would like? Brought them together into an approach of working with your clients in a genuine way, an authentic way, knowing that your business will grow because of what you do, not because of the funnel that you have. All right. You can have the best funnel, the shiny light syndrome, and get all these clients and then not able to deliver a product over here. And for me, that's what I've been seeing is happening in the industry. And I suppose what happened to me probably 5-6 years ago, you asked that question, Callum. So, fast forward from the wounded healer or the healer archetype being in the field of complementary medicine, did my NLP training with Tad James back in 97, and my kinesiology back in 97. Tad had a mullet back then, and it was just Tad James. He had a mullet back then, and I still have that photo. I've still got the flyer that I enrolled in because it's through Universal Events and Karen Corbin, if you remember Karen, right? Yep. And to answer part of the question, Callum, I'm starting to do more work now with Matt James, Tad's son, Kumu Matt or Dr. Matt James. And for me, it's almost like a full circle journey for me. I started with that cognitive approach to healing with Tad, the NLP, then the hypnosis. We had an introduction to Huna back then. Back then, there was a one-day introduction to Huna. That was the bonus day, right?
Yeah, it was the Super Creating Future on Huna Monday.
Yeah, Huna Monday. That's right, the Huna Monday. Yeah. Right? And that piqued my interest back then. But who knew that many years I'd be going to Hawaii regularly to be doing it with his son, right?
Yeah.
So that for me, it went full circle. And so doing that, I did that stuff back then from NLP to massage, to energetic healing, to nutrition, to shiatsu, to bone therapy, to being part of this fraternity or this community of natural therapists, being faculty at Nature Care College, Australasian College of Natural Therapists, creating my own RTO in kinesiology with one of my mentors, Dr. Bruce Dew, in New Zealand with a professional kinesiology practice. And that grew. And then come 2014, I think, or 13, we had a telephone conversation, Connor.
Yeah.
Years ago.
I saw the lead come in and I was like, oh, Arthur Babliss, he ticked all the boxes. Like
And
literally
I tell
ticked
you
all
what,
the boxes. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good lead.
And, I tell you how that started. Like, I had students were going through my diploma in kinesiology at that time. That was a 2-year course, right? So think about what people needed to do back then to reach a specific standard of quality in the work that they do. So we had a weekend workshop for every month for 20 months. So that's 40 days, right?
Okay.
So at least 400 hours face to face. They needed to do all this home study workbooks, practice, another 300 hours there, 700 hours.
Yeah.
Then they needed to do 50 hours of student clinic. They were in my clinic. We would get clients. They would be supervised with myself or Carly or Sarah, the people that we mentioned before, these wonderful people that, I've been blessed to have had a journey with in my life back then. We're supervising them in order for them to be competent with their craft. And that's when they got their diploma, right? And so I had people finishing my diploma, right? And I had this one girl that said, hey, I know you teach some of this NLP stuff, you put it in your course. I wasn't teaching NLP then, but all the material was in my course. Actually, I thought it was my material. True story.
Okay.
I was teaching all the content in NLP, and I thought that was my stuff, mate. It's like, I must have come up with these things unconsciously. Who knew? They were there from before. And I tell you what happened, right? And she said, I'm going to this company called Tad James. I said, well, that's where I learnt my NLP back in 97. And she enrolled in the NLP course. And I thought, hold on a second. Why am I not doing that here? I've got all these students.
Yeah.
Why am I delivering NLP? It was a business decision. It was like, what, hold on a second. I'm losing income here.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked hard to develop this student base. How can I support them? Maybe that's the next level evolution for me. So then we had the call. Look, I did NLP back in 97 with Tad, Prac and Master Prac. I want to become a trainer. And Connor goes, that's awesome. Great. The good news is we've got a program for you.
The good news, friend.
The good news is, and of course, I had to come back and do everything again. Why? I've done it. But it was good to refresh everything, right? Because things have changed. Things are different. So, we packaged together a program kind of where within 30 days, because at one stage, like we were going to do a Prac refresher, the Master Prac I missed with Tad and Adriana, but I was going to hop into the trainers training and the hypnosis trainers training. But I couldn't deliver my NLP trainers unless I did hypnosis trainers training. Remember that one? Unless I did my Master Prac in trainers training. My Master Prac in NLP. So we did it. We had Prac with Brad in Perth, right?
Yeah.
I was able to do that. And then I was able to do the NLP TT and the hypnosis TT with Tad and Adriana. But I missed the Master Prac training because that was in May or something.
It was in May. That's right.
Yeah. And I said, well, I want to be teaching in December. I already got a class with 30 people enrolled, right? So selling off the plan, to the students. And you said, well, you can't. You got to wait till next March. And I started doing some research and I found David Shepherd, right?
Yeah.
And remember, I said, mate, I'm going to be going to England in November. So I'm going to be doing TT. And after TT, I'm going to England in November and I'm coming back to teach my first NLP. And he said, oh, are you going to get in England? I said, yeah, I've got to make this happen. And he said, hold on a second. And you went, you probably got onto your keyboard and the keyboard went crazy.
That's what it sounds like, by the way. Anyone that's worked in the office with Connor, that's exactly what it sounds like.
All right. And then you called me back and said, look, great, I got a trainer in Melbourne, Shondell Labazzetto and a mum. They've got a Master Prac. But the thing is, it starts the day after you finish in Perth. So no worries. I finished in Perth on Friday night, got a red eye from Perth, got to Melbourne in the morning. And boy, was that just a great experience because beautiful mum and daughter combination, Shondell and her mum, Teresa. And, obviously Teresa's not here anymore. So we're mentioning her name, bring her energy into the room. And if Shondell's watching, hey, Shondell, you mean a lot to us as well, to all of you, to all of us, I think. A beautiful human being. And we became close with them and we had a wonderful experience at the Master Prac, finished the Master Prac refresher. And then I think 7 days later, the NLP trainers training started. And then 3 or 4 days later, the hypnosis trainers training started. So there was a period in my life then, I did almost like 50 days in a 60-day period.
Yeah.
It was a complete immersion. It was like, put me into laboratory, Milton and Monster, create a whole new neurology, a whole new brain. It was going on a holiday, and I said it to my family back then, I'm doing this, I need to be focused on that. So they gave, and, credit to my wife at that time, I should say, my wife, ex-wife now, at that time, and the kids for giving me the opportunity to do that, because that was really, I thought I was playing the game here. That 50 days took me there. And then I went on this journey of becoming a master trainer, right? And then there was another 5 years of being in the back room with you guys, and Callum, that's where we really, connected too, because that's when you started working with the TJC, and we
It was actually just before I started working with the TJC that we really bonded from memory. It was the 2016 trainers training.
I think we assisted in the trainers training.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was good.
We assisted, and then you started working with them, and so it's a wonderful experience, and gone on this journey of becoming a master trainer, and at that time, the second master trainer from the TJC, when I became in Australia, and the first at that time trainer in hypnosis, master trainer in hypnosis, and NLP. Now that's just a title, that whatever the case is, but I'm saying that because for me, now to answer your question, Callum, for me, I got to the point where I thought I arrived. I reached one of those peaks in my business. 25 to 28 years in this business, being able to, have a $1 million turnover with my RTO, my kinesiology college. That's one thing, earning the money. It's another thing, learning how to keep the money and invest the money and look after the money, right? That's a whole other business. And so being able to do that and having the neurology, I think, I can create those businesses and create the energy and the platform for people to come and learn with us, which is really where we cantillate, and which I love doing, and that's why we're in the industry. But I thought I arrived, and I probably put my foot off the pedal. I actually stopped learning. When I say learning, I stopped focusing on continuing to learn and expand my knowledge in my craft. I thought I knew enough, and I started to spend a lot more time and a lot more money trying to build my business. Enrolled into masterminds, got into business coaches, and that's important. 100% that's important. But I found that my focus and energy and in resources went into that, attempting to find the right system, the right platform, the right advice or mentor. And then at that same time, my dad passed. We got into this pandemic, COVID hit, stuff happened in my relation with my wife. So it's this huge turmoil thing. It's like, oh my God, once you thought you reached somewhere in your life, bang, roller coaster. It's like, you're now going downhill.
Yeah.
And that moment down here, the dark night of the soul, as they call it, it's like, my marriage ended. And back then I was in it, I thought, I was pointing the finger. I thought, how can this freaking happen to me? All right. I'm the communication guy. I've been in this field for 25 years. It can't happen to me. Huge imposter syndrome. Right. It was like, right. It was like, oh my God, how can I show up in front of people and doing this? And I had a student who's a body recomposition specialist. He's Keegan. He's a personal trainer. He actually helped me get on the health track as well too. And we're having a chat one day, and he said, Artie, I want you to think about this. The fact that you're going through what you're going through and you're still showing up every day to deliver says a lot more about you than actually getting caught up in what you're going through. And that was a reframe I needed to hear at that moment, to say, you know what? I need to continue learning. And this is the blessing. This is the what I need to go through to get to the next level of my evolution. And looking back on it now, I'm so grateful for the 25 years I had with my beautiful wife back then. We have the family, and realizing that was the contract that we had on this planet for those years. And now we're on to our next contract. I can't deny that. She can't deny me that. And so looking back and understanding it was a blessing, and wishing only the very best for all those relationships and contacts we had in the past, because that needed to happen for us to get to where we are today. And so from that point, Callum, more learning started, right? I thought, what is it I need to learn here? Because, this is the obstacle. And as Ryan Holiday says in his book, which is one book that helped me at that time, The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday, right?
Yeah.
It's a plug for a book. Historic philosophy, Marcus Aurelius, right? He says, the impediment is the way. What is in the way becomes the way.
Becomes the way.
Right? And so I really got into his books, and I thought, continue to learn, and I started to do a lot of training with Brendan Bouchard and the high performance coaching, a whole different approach to helping people evolve and start moving forward in the future. And And he was providing this amazing platform online because we're in the middle of COVID, right? Amazing platform online. I thought, man, that piqued my interest because what do? We were doing all these face-to-face trainings. I want to be able to deliver online, but I don't just want to be like everyone else.
Yeah.
I don't want to just to have slides and a little circle in the corner. Like I want to be able to provide people an experience, right? And so that took me on another journey of learning tech. And that I was grateful for that because I love my tech. I love being able to provide an experience. And, I believe we're able to set up a platform to give people, in my opinion, other than the Tony Robbins and the people that got those $1 million studios, what we've got, something like this here I am doing what we do with you guys, delivering all this stuff. All these cameras, if I want to hop onto my flip chart, I'm over there, coming back with all these different screenshots. Hey, put a Ibiza on,
Right.
start
Now
dancing.
you're showing off.
Right. Well, I am showing off. Yeah, all right. It's called product placement and marketing.
Oh, but we're big fans of your tech.
Yeah, and I went on a journey to learn that. While I was learning that, I went on a journey to learn more about, I suppose, human evolution, Callum, the journey of us as a soul. Because I realized I came into this field and I gravitated towards the energetic stuff. I came out of the corporate world, values level 5. We know the values levels, right? Values level 5. For those who don't know, a model based on Claire Graves in terms of our thinking, our evolution of thinking as we go through life, what's important to us, right?
So we have a clearer picture. What were you doing in the corporate world? So before
12 years, I was in, I had a finance brokerage, property marketing company, and 2 mobile phone stores.
No way. That is cool. Mobile phone store.
Communication. Remember Crazy John, the time of Crazy John's?
Yeah.
In Melbourne, they used to call me Crazy Arthur. We used to sponsor the kickboxing fights, the same with back then. So that's like another lifetime ago. Wow.
I haven't even heard about that. I don't think you've shared that.
I was Mr. Vodafone. I remember there was on Fox Sports, like one of the kickboxing bouts. It was, I'm sure it was Anthony Velez probably watching now. He's, I think it was a light or middleweight champion. And we were sponsoring it because we had a Vodafone dealership. Like when I say me, and I had a partner called James back then too. There's a trick. There's a James back then as well too. Right? I wasn't aware of that. So I had a guy called James who was my partner. And we thought, okay, we were promoting it. And I got dressed up as the Vodafone, the big phone, the foam suit. And I was in the middle of the ring as Mr. Vodafone, like, hey, guys, come and grab a big Motorola 3300 brick phone, like the drug dealer phone, right? That's the mobiles of today. So that was the business back then. So 12 years in that. Mm-hmm. And then, 30 years in this field. But really, it started, I remember I was 12 years of age and I was behind the counter at my dad's delicatessen, and we'd be serving people. I'd be there Sundays when the shop was open. I'd be there Sundays with my dad helping me out while my kids were playing. Well, one of my kids, interesting. When my friends were playing outside, doing stuff, having their weekends, I was there in the shop, right? So that was my training, I suppose, in business,
conditioning,
in service, and what my dad always said, like people would come and say they want a kilo of ham or half a kilo of this or half a kilo of that. Always give them a little bit more. Always let them leave feeling more fulfilled, better than when they walked into the shop. That was one thing I got from my dad.
Did he verbalize that to you, or was that something that you saw?
No, he verbalized. It actually, there's a Greek saying, Connor. It's ta pende phi, and it's 5 Fs. And the ta pende phi, if I say it in Greek, is phile, fere philos, fortosite fiete. And it's friends, bring your friends, fill your baskets up, and leave happy.
Nice.
And so
it's almost
sounds like a forever client's magic.
Yeah.
Like a service frame, right? You're in this for service, knowing that if you serve, you're always going to be looked after. And I think this is getting back to now going on this journey of doing my high performance coaching with Brendan Bouchard, connecting, and this is how I connected with Matt. Right. It's like I was going 2 years back. I was going to the first event that Brendan was having outside of COVID, a coaching summit in Huntington Beach, just outside LA. And I thought, I'm going that way. Let me see if is there some sort of Huna training I can do with Matt? Because I emailed them and was sort of connected with them. And I'd missed the training in September, but they had a training in San Diego, like a 5-day Huna level 1 training. And I said, okay, well, I want to come to that. And they said, unfortunately, it's sold out. And it was perfect fit because it was the 5 days before my 4 days with Brendan Bouchard.
Yeah.
So I was going to hop in the car and drive from San Diego to Huntington Beach and to Brendan. And I said to, I think Pearl I was talking to back then, connecting, and I said, I have to come. You know, I know it's sold out, but I'm buying my ticket. I'm coming. You need to put an extra seat. All right. And she goes, leave it with us. And she got back to us. And because I had a few more people enrolled, they got a bigger venue and had a spot. And so it all worked out. And so I ended up to go to San Diego to do Huna 1 to meet Dr. Matt James, and then hop in a car and go to Huntington Beach to do my coaching assignment with Brendan Bouchard. And I remember checking into the Holiday Inn, and this is, you know, like a freaky experience, a Holiday Inn. And I checked in, put my bags in the room, and I thought, let me go down and get a drink or something to eat. It was about 8:30 at night, 9 o'clock. I pressed the elevator, and as soon as the elevator opens, Dr. Matt comes out with Christine, his fiance, right? Christina. And I said, just the man I wanted to see. And he obviously might have picked up my accent and he knew I was from Australia. And you know the first thing he said, Callum?
What?
He said, welcome home.
Yeah, nice.
And I said, I did trainings with your dad. He goes, if you've done trainings with my dad, then this is your home. Welcome. Everyone's welcome that's done work with my dad. All right. And it was just a beautiful experience to meet him and then do the work with him. And what blows me away, guys, I sit in the room to learn from him. And the stories he shares about his father, about his lineage, about his experience, it's just he has his dad up here. And having learned from Tad and gone through that journey to now reconnect with Matt, it's like for me gone full circle. He's got a son called Ethan. My son's called Ethan, right? And it's like, wow. And so I've gone to Hawaii a number of times to do different levels of Hoon and different levels of VAPEPs or whatever you want to call them, right, with him. And for me, that's been a huge, not only healing for me, but an eye-opener, bringing everything together for me, realizing when I first started, I started in this energetic healing approach, moved into a cognitive approach to healing, right? The NLP is really a yang approach to coaching, a cognitive approach.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like, let's help people reframe. Even timeline therapy is cognitive. It's like you're reframing your perspective of the event, right?
Correct.
And it helps people deal with it more effectively today, not allow them to or be affected by it. And so they make better decisions today. What we don't realize and what the research has shown and has always shown when we're doing the energetic and somatic stuff, but I drifted from a yin to a yang approach of coaching, right? Now coming back to the yin, like a full circle, what the research shows is that memories are still locked in your cells, in your biology, in your physiology through neuropeptides. And so you might cognitively release your hold on an event or the hold the event has on you through a reframe. But the memory and the neuropeptide still is locked in your body. And there's so much research of people who have had heart transplant patients or people taking other limbs of other people who bring up memories of the host. Where does that come from?
Yeah.
There's a great book that's code by Dr. Paul Pearsall. Yeah, Paul Pearsall, like, Heart's Code. Awesome stuff in terms of that. And so there's still memory in the body. So unless you release it somatically.
Hey guys, Callum and Connor here from Connect Coaching. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Unplugged podcast. We're jumping in to let you know about something really exciting, the Forever Client Matrix.
Absolutely. What we love doing is lighting people up and helping them realize that their future is bright and most importantly, making a difference in this world. So we are very excited to be able to share this with you.
If you want to turn every prospect into a Forever Client, then please click on the link below in the description and get instant access now to your preview of the Forever Client Matrix.
Enjoy.
You haven't done a complete integrated release on the event and healed in order for you to move forward in an authentic, aligned way. Right.
Just if I can just get you to hit pause there. So Matt, I know you've spoken to me at length about this, so I understand the context to what you're talking about, but somatically, can you give just a brief definition for the uninitiated to
Yes, when we say somatic, it comes
explain
from
the
the Greek.
difference between the two?
Yeah. It comes from the Greek word, like everything comes from the Greeks, right? Right? It comes from the Greek word soma, and soma means body, right? So when we say somatic, it's a therapy or modality that focuses on releasing events, energy, trauma, or whatever you want to call them. What if trauma wasn't trauma? What if trauma was just trapped energy? What if that word didn't exist? Do you think it would be a whole different landscape today?
Oh, yeah.
If that word didn't exist? It's one of the most researched words on Google, trauma, emotional trauma. And I think a lot of people are commercializing it. And to really understand that, though, for me,
It's the new fear.
it's the new fear.
It,
Yeah, I
it
love
used
it.
to be it used to be fear, and now it's trauma that's being commercialized and taken over for sure.
Yeah. And so when I say somatic, Callum, I'm saying a process that's helping you release that energy, that memory, that experience from the body. All right. Because, even Tad and, Adrian and some of the later training, they introduce ideas of meta health in their master prac, right? That's what we're talking about, a mind-body medicine. When we go through an experience, a conflict in our lives, which we might call trauma, that there is a disruption to the neurology, right? There could be a lesion on the brain, and that brain has a relay link to different parts of the body, and that affects your physiology, and then that leads to a diseased state. And so, hey, you can clear the cognitive approach to the event, but if those neuropeptides and the memories are still locked in the body hasn't healed from that, and that trigger may come up in the future. And you might find, and this could be the reason a lot of people say, I've done the work, but suddenly I fall back into old patterns. They get a result because they've done the cognitive work. They clear the limiting beliefs. They clear the sabotage. I've changed my identity. I've done the yang approach to coaching. I get somewhere and suddenly you fall back into an old pattern. What was the trigger for your body to actually have that physiological release? And sometimes, unless you put the body in the same physical environment, that it doesn't come up. But you put the body in the same physical environment where that trauma occurred, that's when the body starts to abreact. And so creating an approach which is a neurological or cognitive to coaching, a somatic release therapy, if you were to bring the two together, I think you would have a coach today that truly is working from a holistic approach with the clients in an authentic way, genuine way, and not what I've seen today out of COVID, right? And I fell into that because I thought I arrived, and because of COVID, I got into business coaching. And coming out of COVID, I mean, the World Health Organization says 264 million people diagnosed with depression, and that's underestimated, I think, they believe by half. So close to 1 billion people, depression. Now, what do you think are the implications post-COVID syndrome, post-COVID? Because people experience stuff in this great reset in the world, right? They put a Band-Aid on it. Let's hustle. Let's get our mindset right. It's like to get a Panadol and start moving forward. But if they haven't released the trauma, trapped energy of what happened to them back then, it's still locked in their body, right? And I see a lot of coaches today and therapists who once started that way down here falling into, and this is my perspective, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, but falling into what I believe working from survival. The concerning thing for me is that they're focusing more on the financial gain as opposed to genuine healing and working with their clients, right? And when it's the work that we do that builds our business, it's not the funnel that we need a funnel. We need systems. We need all that without a doubt. But are you putting the cart before the horse? Because if you've got a client you can't deliver over here, then that creates a stigma to the industry. And you know what? If someone doesn't get a result with them, guess what they say? Oh, they weren't ready yet. They're not even taking responsibility for the work that they do. That client's not prepared. But the client needs some healing. I put a post on my Facebook the other day, therapy and coaching, are they the same or different, just to see what people's perspective is.
I saw that. I saw there was quite a bit of engagement. Yeah.
Yeah. And generally we know therapy is more focusing on past to help you be more centered and present today and be in a position where you're open to the possibilities of the future, a brighter future. And coaching's help you navigate the landscape with tools and strategies to be able to achieve the results that you want. But if you haven't done this is a Band-Aid. This is stolen away from. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is building a business from a wounded archetype. I know Callum likes his archetypes.
I love archetypes. By the way, you were sensational at those exercises the other night. I was surprised that when you talked about your past in the 12 years before you got into coaching and therapy, that there wasn't a stint doing some sort of acting as well, but maybe it was the Mr. Vodafone man.
Maybe, like, it's funny because at home when we were younger, we'd always get the microphone, do karaoke and acting. And when we were younger at school, we'd be on the plays and everyone thought that you'd be the ideal actor. Maybe that's me giving myself permission to shine, right? But
you were great. You were great.
Let me give a plug. That was a great webinar. You guys just put it on the last minute, and you had 50 attendees or something like that, close to 50 attendees. And some great stuff that you shared, Callum. It was great to see you behind the camera and Connor just doing his building rapport with the group. He's nodding his head. I think there might be some stuff there that Connor can learn. What do you reckon, Callum? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe improve his presentation even better. But I loved it. It was great. If you guys put it on again, I highly recommend that people come and do that. And be open to. You got a program coming up, right? Present Perfect.
We do, yeah. And the whole purpose of the the webinar we did the other night and Connect and Convert that we do, and also the Forever Client Matrix, is just to show the freshness of what we're doing and how it is different, how it is new, how it's, I guess it's using our creativity and our, the stuff that I guess we've always spoken about privately. And, how can we turn these ideas into a presentation or an experience? Because for me, I don't like to call them webinars or trainings. I like to call them an experience because people have that, they immerse themselves in different exercises. They immerse themselves with different ideas and they are changed by it. And it is an experience. And our purpose, whenever we put out anything now, is to do our absolute best to make it new, make it fresh, but make it useful, make it something that people can apply straight away. And one of the things that I love about the Forever Client Matrix and Connect and Convert, and even the webinar we did the other night, is that it's stuff that people can get results with straight away if they put it into action. But back to you, Arthur. One of the things that
just on that, right? Because in the webinar you brought in the 12 archetypes, right? In terms of the presenting styles and
the Jung archetypes.
The Jung archetypes.
More,
Jung. Sure. There's a lot more. And I loved how you said, maybe Jung did his interpretation of the tarot, right? And because it opens up a world in terms of our evolution as a soul, right? Because you're coming back to your original question in terms of the learning. Started energetic stuff, went into the cognitive stuff, and now coming to the approach where how do you merge the two? How do you in this world today? How do you help your client or even the therapist, the coach, the healer to be able to work in a 3D world? And why coaching or cognitive coaching or mindset coaching? It's a yang approach. That on the planet, the 3D world is yang, so that it connects because it's results driven, right? But as you know, we've got the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. So how do you provide a holistic approach to coaching? So yes, we need to do the yang approach to be able to support the client, but then unless we do the healing, the somatic healing through the body, then we're maybe not giving the opportunity to open up the next realms of doing the spiritual evolution. A lot of people do the spiritual work, but mate,
they shortcut back.
Yeah,
they don't want to do
Bruce
the work.
Lipton says, Bruce Lipton says in one of his videos, I see, I see the truths that all these spiritual talkers talk about, the spiritual truths, and yet their life is completely different to the spiritual truths.
Yeah.
So they're spiritual talkers, not spiritual walkers, right? And Bob Proctor says, have a look at your results in your life. It tells them the truth about your life and who you are.
That's what I loved about Connor's approach to sales and business, is because it wasn't just a yang. Yang is the conscious mind, right? And
that's right.
Yeah, so it wasn't just a yang approach, And if you look at the diagram of the Forever Client Matrix, you talked about the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, the physical.
Love it.
It's seriously bringing that energy down. It's turning that transaction into a transformation, and it's allowing people to feel the experience of being believed in for the very first time.
100%.
Being empowered.
100%. Yeah. 100%. And what you just said, Callum, turning that transaction to transformation, which means a transaction always precedes a transformation. And that's the matrix that you guys put together to helping people to make the decision for that transaction. And so getting back to what I was saying in the beginning, I would really congratulate you guys. That's the missing piece that you've provided in this business coaching landscape. You're doing you've created a business coaching platform, which isn't just a yang approach, which isn't just what everyone else is doing. You're looking at a more holistic approach. And then so for those who are over here, oh my God, it's like they're speaking to my soul. Let's come and join these guys, because it's now yes, the income will come, but it's generating an income with dignity. Focusing on the client and helping them achieve their goals. It's not just measured by extrinsic things. It's also measured by the person you become and how you help other people rise up.
The reality is we find it easier to do it that way. It's less thought, but when you learn it, you find that this is actually, you have more energy in order to give to everyone you communicate.
You know why it's easier? Because it's nature. We're following nature's law of communication, following nature's law of healing, following nature's law of physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. Whereas a lot of people over here are just focusing on the yang, pushing, in my opinion, pushing a square peg in a round hole. Now, we can all put a square peg in a round hole. We can hustle, right? But once you get into the round hole, guess what? You're still a square peg. You just shaved off some corners.
And you use the word hustle, and there is that, let's hustle, bro culture. And that culture still is, I think, alive and well. I think it's starting to change a little bit. But you often do see, and whether it's coaching, whether it's therapy, whether it's business, whether it's sales, you see those immediate quick wins where people feel good momentarily. They are getting sales in, their business is doing well, or maybe in the coaching and therapy space, they've made changes in their behavior. They've made changes emotionally. They've made changes in their thinking. And it's like this sharp uptick. And then it sort of drops off, within 90 days or 6 months of having doing that. And that's also something that you're redesigning the paradigm on when it comes to business. Is that longevity. Sorry, Connor, you go.
I was going to say, where is the balance? Like, where hustle is important. We need to hustle. Like, hustle.
Wait. Let's scratch. Do I have a scratching thing? That's
hear me out. No. All right, well, thanks for coming by, Arthur. Learning how to hustle is important because you need to know how to be in first gear in your car. You can't in order to get to fifth, you have to go through first, second, third, fourth, and then you're in fifth. It's how long you hustle for is the issue. You have to know how to get off a fire. You can't just float and expect not to get burned if you go down to a fire. You need to hustle if things aren't working for you. You need to get off what is not working. And the quicker you get off what is not working, the quicker you can set yourself up in a new trajectory. And that efficiency you have within yourself, a lot of people have put down to the word hustle. The negative connotation around hustle is that people stay in first gear, not knowing how to get into second, third, and fourth. So they stay in hustle mode for too long and they burn their engine out. But you need to know how to hustle in order to get off what is not working.
What word would describe that? What word other than hustle would describe exactly what you said? I 100% agree with you. And if we had a word to describe that beyond what people think is hustling, that's a category creator, my friend. Come up with a word, because I 100% agree with you, Connor. And I think what it is, if I give a metaphor, I heard this metaphor from Brennan Bouchard in a podcast. What makes a fireman not even worry about or think about the fear of running into a fire to save a life? Because that fireman would hustle, do whatever's required, get into fifth gear to actually save a life. Right? Is it his hustling that makes him a good fireman? Is it the hustle that gets him to go into the fire? The difference with the fireman is connected to a greater purpose. Because he's connected to a purpose aligned to his values, he'll do whatever's required in order to fulfill those values. What's the word for that? Right? Because if someone is aligned, if someone's 100% clear what's important to them, they're aligned, then they'll get out of the gears they need to get the results which are important to them in such an aligned way. We call it hustling. I 100% agree with you. If we can find another word.
I don't know if we need to find another word. I think it's...
Does hustle have a negative connotation for you, Arthur?
Well,
for me, I quite like it. I like it because I used to play a lot of sports. Right? I played a lot of sports, baseball and hustle, and it was done in a good way. I see hustle
this is somatic
good.
healing, right? Somatic healing. Connor, if you allow me, you're talking hustle and you're scratching here. That's a kidney point. Fear and anxiety. So hustle for you, anxiety's coming up in your body. Now you can tell me, I don't know what I'm talking about, but
I'm getting in a state of hustle because I produce good results in this.
So what if you could do what you need to do without that that sympathetic drive that pushes people? Do it from a parasympathetic drive in your neurology. That's more from a line perspective. It's a thought, and this is what we're working on, and we're focusing on how we're working with people in.
I think in the world of labels, you got to be careful falling back into that dialectic that we're talking about, because I don't think it has to be this or that. It can be and as well. For example, I think understanding what season you're in and what's required at the moment, and knowing that season is going to change, and like in Connor's words, getting into 4th and 5th gear where you can start gliding down the highway and get into those different, tap into those different parts of your nervous system. I think that's fine. We have both parts of that available to us in our bodies for different purposes.
Yeah,
so
100%.
when people are getting, and because I think I know what you mean at a level of experience that you're at, Arthur, because you've gone through the ebbs and the flows. You have fully hustled, and you may not have, but you may have burnt yourself out at some point. And you're working with a lot of people that are having health issues or disease in their body. And it's because they've stayed in first gear for too long. And if you do that, even in your car or your motorbike, you're going to destroy the engine. Right. But what I sort of avoid doing, because I also think it gives people a false sense of reality and truth, is to say that, everything can just be stress-free. Everything can just be blissful. Everything can be, Zen, for example, because that also for me is not, it's only showing one side. It's only showing this or that again. And I don't think it's the reality for people that do get into business for the first time, because if they do, and I come across when I was working and coaching trainers and coaches from all around the world and mentoring them, one of the biggest roadblocks that I came across was people going, I started to stress out when I started to learn this new thing and have to do this new thing. And I started to feel like I was pushing myself too hard. And then I just backed off because, I don't want to work like that. And I think that sort of gives people a false sense of what it takes to be successful. And I think that there are times when you absolutely need to hustle and have urgency and be, on the front foot with everything. And you may even feel overwhelmed. You may even feel the word stressed, but I think what's more important is having the ability to be able to manage those different
having the
states.
awareness, absolutely,
and having the ability to switch out of those, sympathetic and parasympathetic, states of being, and knowing, how you can alleviate that, how you can have tools and techniques and methodologies to be able to get you back into a flow state or a stress-free state or a relaxed state. And, I feel like sometimes coming from the NLP world, we get too fixated on these away froms being a bad thing. And we get too fixated on, that word has negative connotations. For me, when I was doing that and playing that game, because I played that game all out at one point, when I did that, it just made my brain hurt so bad that I literally started not being able to speak or articulate my thoughts and how I truly felt at that particular time. And by doing that, I wasn't able to be myself. I wasn't able to be authentic because I was constantly trying to watch my words, and I was constantly trying to reframe how I felt to try to always be forward focused and try to always use forward focused words with nothing with an away from in it. And it literally, it drives you insane. And I don't mean that even, metaphorically. It can drive people insane, and I've seen it. So I guess the awareness of it is more important for me. The awareness of that word has these connotations, that word has away froms in it. And yes, I am feeling right now, and that's my reality right now, and that's my authentic truth. And I now know what I need to do in order to get myself back on track. But what I don't want to do is for the people that are just starting out, the people that are new to this industry, the people that are great coaches, therapists, or trainers that don't have their business in place, I don't want to tell them that you don't have to be hustle and we can create a different word and you don't live in that space, because for me, and again, this is my opinion and you're entitled to yours as well, but I don't think that for me, I feel like that's being disingenuous if I do that. So I feel like I'm okay with saying, you know what, today I'm feeling pretty shitty and I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling burnt out, or I'm feeling like I've been hustling. I'm feeling stressed. And that's what it's taking me at the moment to move forward. I'm okay to be like that, but I'm also at the same time okay to know that it's just a season. And I think that we empower people by giving them the tools to be able to switch modes when they need it. When they're with their kids, when they're with their wives, when they're with their families on the weekend, they're with their friends, they're able to unplug from that stressful moment, from that hustle, and they're able to be present once again. And I learned this from Eckhart Tolle, that you can get back into those present states. I went and saw him in Canada. You can get back in those present states despite how intense and stressful your life has been, even in the moment. You can get back into presence. And this is, I guess, where it comes back to the somatic approach, getting back to your breath, getting back
Spot
to
on.
feeling
100%.
your body, getting back to those things. So I don't think it has to be a this or that. I think it's a and as well. And I think that the more we can, give people that broader spectrum of behaviors and that ability to tap into that. And I think that that's your mission with James, is to provide, because I think that people can, with the cognitive approaches, I think that they can release the memories in the peptides of the body. And that's based on Bruce Lipton's work. But I'm also guessing that at times they may not, and may need to dive into the more somatic approach, to do the breath work, to do, some deeper physiological healings as well. So again, it's not falling into the binary way of thinking. It's showing that you have this range of capabilities, and I think as human beings, there is no limit to that. And I guess just sort of finishing off my point there, I think that one of the things that it grieves me to see people fall into that. We can't use this word, or we can't use that word, and this word means this, or it's got away froms, and you need to clear all your away froms, because I don't believe in that anymore. I don't believe that you need to clear all your away froms. There are times where you're managing teams, and for 90% of the time, you're pushing them in a forward direction and you're keeping them forward focused. But the proverbial SHIT hits the fan, whether it's leads aren't coming in, or you're not getting the results you promised, or there's all of a sudden a problem that you need to deal with. You need to deal with the realities of that by sharing the away froms with your team and kicking them into gear, not in a physical kicking way, but kicking them into gear mentally and go, hey, no, we need to address this right now. It's okay to be forward focused for 98% of the time, and we're constantly reframing ourselves. But right now, this is the reality, and we need to deal with this problem. So I know I got on my rant, my high horse, but
that was great.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love
great
it.
articulation.
Love it bringing in Bruce Lipton in that, because Bruce Lipton 100% says that. Well,
that's where I read Bruce Lipton before I got into NLP. So that's the lens I always look through the NLP and timeline therapy and hypnosis techniques with.
Yeah. And so Bruce says, that the research does show that we can release those things with changing our mindset. And the research even shows more that we still have them locked in our bodies. So that's where the somatic stuff comes in. I love what you said, Callum. And I 100% agree with you, because the away from gets you off your stuck state, right? The away from gets you stuck on stuck. The problem is when people stay in that sympathetic state and don't regulate their body, and that's when they burn themselves out, as you said, right? How do you unplug so where do you learn these tools and techniques to be able to unplug? And this is really what we're doing with the neurosomatic approach.
That's what we're doing in this podcast. That's why it's called Unplugged. Because it allows us to have these conversations that, Connor and I used to have. We talked about it before we got on air tonight about, getting together and unplugging and having those deeper conversations that we don't normally have.
Yeah, and when you think about it, it's about demystifying beliefs, right? I did some work with James Wedmore. I don't know if you know James. He's a huge business by design. He's got a huge business, well known. And I love the quote that he says. He says, because his business is about demystifying beliefs in business. And he says, I agree with you guys. Like, hustling from a perspective of getting you moving is important. But here's the thing. People say, if you don't hustle, you need to hustle to make $1 million. In other words, hustle equals $1 million. Well, do you know a lot of people that have hustled that haven't made $1 million yet?
Well, that's
So
complex
hustling
equivalence.
doesn't.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I mean, that's probably.
And see, I think that's where we both all agree that people associate, you got to do that to get that. Whereas, yes, you might need to hustle, if that's the word we use, to get off a stuck state. What do I need to do? I love the word urgency. You need to have a sense of urgency.
Absolutely.
Urgency is going to get you moving. And once you build momentum and flow and able to regulate your system, then you're able to go down the pathway that you want to achieve.
That's actually the word we use more often. Connor and I go, okay, we need a sense of urgency about these things.
Love it. Yeah. Love it. Because urgency means I'm focused on what's important. I've prioritized, in my opinion. So now I'm clear in my mind in terms of what I need to be doing. And when people are, hustling, it's like, you almost have this, and it could be my stuff, and this the chicken without a head running around. Right? What do I need to do first? Like hustling, a sense of urgency, clarity, great. And I need an urgency to get off my stuck state. But at what point do I need to then use these tools, these somatic tools, breath work, regulating, put myself in the present state so I can actually perform at a higher degree, which is science shows, to get the results that I want? Because if I'm constantly performing at this state, in kinesiology, we have a term, and I know you guys will like it. Let's say if you're moving forward in achieving in a flow state, it's integrated high gear. So you're high gear in an integrated way. A lot of people are integrated low gear, right? Have the thinking, but low gear from a neurology point of view. And that's where the burnout occurs. And let's say you can say hustle stage 1 and hustle stage 2, right? You got hustle integrated low gear, which what you guys say goes to burnout. But hustle integrated high gear is what's going to move a sense of urgency and get you moving towards that. But there's tools that you need to implement, which in some cases are not necessarily taught in the one program. And certainly we're one school that doesn't teach everything, but we're attempting to bring as much as we can in, which might be missing from this program, that might be missing in that program, to bring it all together from my experience. That's what I've seen from not only what I've gone through, what I've had clients go through, what I've had students go through, and I've seen the results in terms of when they create an integrated approach. It's more fulfilling for them. They're building a business which they're a more soulful business. They're more aligned to their core values, and the income is a reflection of that. They're creating an income with dignity as opposed to, a business focused on the accolades, the awards, the likes,
someone may love that. Someone may love it really depends on where they're at in their journey of life.
Yeah,
someone could crave that in order to, self-validate them. I've won, I've accomplished something.
100%, 100%. And Robin Sharma says in one of his teachings in his book, Leader Without the Title, right? He goes, when people do crave that, and it's important for some people to get them moving.
Absolutely.
When they do crave that, when you're craving an external validation of some sort, it's to plug a hole that you have on the inside. Now, perhaps that's the next step of evolution for that person. I don't know. That was the next step of evolution for me. I can relate that from my personal experience. And if people don't get that yet, they don't get that yet. That's okay. It's not a judgment. We are where we are. I'm not judging, just reporting. But this is a stage of evolution. And so people need different mentors at different stages. That's what we're talking about. Now, you guys have come and plugged the hole. You've plugged the hole by unplugging the tools that's required for people in this industry to be able to build a business with authenticity. 100%. That's why, we've supported you. We've, we're
very big on people being themselves and not needing, you are good enough. You don't have to wear a mask. It's just plugging in to yourself and letting that shine through, because when you're passionate about what you do, you love what you do, you have your customer's best interests in heart, or clients, or whatever label we want to use, that will come out and people will want to work with you because you have a belief within yourself that actually they start buying.
Yeah, spot on.
Tell me about neurosomatic dynamics. How can someone, this is your plug time, Arthur?
My plugged on? Okay, well, geez, my plugged on.
And tell us a little bit about your new partnership with James as well,
Yeah.
because I think that's an important
Yeah, look,
part of
you know, James ZG, you've got to put the ZG in there, ZG Buckley. Well, he's been, you know, he's a pioneer in the field himself, 22 years in the field of neuroscience, meditation, hypnosis. He's got a story to tell too, like he's ordained as a Buddhist monk, done his breath work, and, you know, he used to run corporate events where people would pay him 20K plus just to take them out into, I don't know, the jungle or somewhere, and he'd do his ice baths and the meditations and high corporate level stuff for people to be able to perform at a high level in a flow state. And, you know, we connected a couple of months back and did a podcast. And it was like I said to him the other day, like married at first sight. You know, it's like, this is maths. We're in for the experiment. Let's go all in. And we're on the same page with what it is that we want to be able to do. And, you know, he's witnessed as well, like in the industry, a lot of these people today in our field building a business from survival, right? Now, it's great to get off that state, but unless you actually get in contact with the right people to help you with the right tools and tactics and build it in an authentic, holistic way, then you're only going to burn yourself out, right? And you're going to experience
hamster wheel.
Yeah, that's right, hamster wheel. So he's come along, and together, you know, we're looking at, we are building the Conscious Mastery Academy brand, but bringing in the tools that he brings as well as the tools that we have. So we've got, you know, NLP, positive psychology, not just NLP, because I think positive psychology is, for me, the umbrella. The umbrella term. The umbrella term for all these wonderful tools that we have, because positive psychology is about helping someone flourish in life. How do you help them flourish in life? How do you get them away from a stuck state to flourishing? And so we use tools like NLP to cultivate positive emotions, to release negative emotions. We use timeline therapy to reframe that, right? We use tools like hypnosis, kinesiology, somatic work to understand the mind-body connection. When someone's scratching here or doing this when they're talking, is their body congruent with what they're saying? Because if they're in conflict, it's like, this is sensory acuity on steroids. It's not just looking at the face. It's actually when someone says something, when they're touching someone in the body, is that congruent with what they said, right? Bringing this with energy work, huna, breath work, meditation, really is what neurosomatic dynamics is. It focuses on, we have what we call the R3 protocol. How do you go from the greatest pandemic that we have in the world today, which is not the pandemic we came through, the post-pandemic problem of depression? What leads to depression? Stress, anxiety, and depression. SAD, seasonal affective disorder. All right, so what are the three things we need to do to get over SAD? One, rewire the nervous system. We've got to change your thinking. And that's where NLP comes in 100%. Elevate your consciousness, change your old paradigms, and flip that switch that NLP does so well. Two, you got to reset and regulate the nervous system. That's where you need to reset the mind and body. Breath work, energy work, huna, meditation, tapping, energy psychology, all that helps reset the body. Once you reset your neurology, you've got a new thinking, you've reset the nervous system, reboot the computer, you're now ready to create a whole new identity, a quantum identity shift, designing a whole new identity, who you want to be, who are you destined to be, connecting with a greater purpose and using all these tools, and then moving into more of a spiritual, metaphysical approach, as above, so below, connect to the vibration of the cosmic universe, like the stars and numbers and all this type of stuff, for you to connect to a greater calling, to say, yes, this is who I am. This is who I was meant to be, and then design an avatar around that. And what do you need to do? Find the actions in order for you to achieve the life that you want. So we call that the quantum identity shift. And that's how you re-engage back in life, reinventing yourself. Rewire, reset, and reinvent yourself will lead you to go from stuck to flourishing. And that is what we teach in the neurosomatic dynamics. 3 modules, different to in the past where people would come in and do a 5-day course and get a certificate, right? They'll still get that certificate, the NLP certificate. Do the assessment, get the certificate. Do the assessment, get your energy psychology certificate. But in order for you to be a neurosomatic dynamics practitioner, you got to do that 15-day training, 3 modules. And then there's 6 months of tutorials, practice, case studies you need to hand in, and an assessment that you need to have with us in order for you to be stamped as a neurosomatic dynamics practitioner. We are focusing on competency, because confidence as a practitioner comes from your ability to do the work. It comes from confidence. And my view is that we want practitioners to be so good at what they do, so competent in their craft, that people will walk through a jungle to find them, because that's the law of nature, where what you do precedes your marketing. That's what our focus is, to upskill the therapist, the coaching, the healing industry. And take it back to, elevate it even further. Get look back at history and say, what can we take from all these wonderful eras and move into, as they say, well, I think we're now in the age of Aquarius, right? Maybe I need to put that song on. What's mine?
We're in the age of Aquarius. Are these buttons? They're like 100 buttons in front of you, and you know which they are.
Here's all my buttons. If I show you all the buttons, these are all the buttons I press.
Oh, there we go.
And as you say, I like pressing buttons, Connor.
Yeah. Very good at that.
So that's what our focus is. We have our group, if I can plug this, because
absolutely.
One thing I do have, being in this field for such a long time, I have my students, I've got graduates, I've got people who learn from other areas, whether they're trainers themselves, master practitioners or practitioners. I get lots of people calling me saying, look, I had this client, what would you do with that? What would you do if you had a client, stage 4 cancer, and the doctor said, you got to go home and look after your affairs? How do you deal with someone like that? It's not taught in the book. How do you deal with someone who says, I want to take my life while they're working with you? How do you deal with someone, you're on a Zoom and they say, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm going to kill myself, and they get off Zoom and you can't connect with them? What's your duty of care? Mm-hmm. All right? This is what I'm really big about and bringing back in the industry, because that's lacking in the coaching world. Right? So we have our group, which we've renamed The Rise of the Modern Day Practitioner, and James is part of that group as well. And it's the coaching network. And so we're creating the coaching network solution, and we launched it yesterday, and people can go and check it out, thecoachingnetworksolution.com. And what we're offering, guys, is this. We're going to put once a month, and it's really, I want to give credit to you guys too, because the inspiration came from you guys as well too, like giving back to the community. You guys are giving back to help people build their business. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, how can I give back to help people master the craft, sharpen the saw? No point having a great business if you're not always evolving your craft as well too. How can we create a university, an academy of help masterful practitioners and masterful in the businesses that you guys have got, right? And so we're doing once a month a 2-hour masterclass, a mentoring class, a tutorial, free of charge to anyone in the group. They don't need to have done training with me. You could be a practitioner, a master practitioner, a trainer. It's almost like a master training program, right? You come along, right? And it is the beginning of it. You come along, right, to 2 or 3 hours where you get a chance to ask us questions with difficult clients. How would we handle it? Ask us questions about tools and techniques, maybe do a demo, show you how to integrate them in life experiences outside what's in the book, and give you an opportunity to maybe practice some tools and techniques, and maybe practice with people you haven't met, maybe do a question intervention, do a simple process where build a community where everyone's supporting each other to actually master their craft and be good at what they do. And for me, if you're genuinely in this industry as a therapist, a coach, a practitioner, because you want to make a difference, you really want to genuinely help someone heal and then smash out their goals, smash out their outcomes, achieve all the things that we're meant to achieve on this 3D planet, all the riches that are available for us, then you need to continually sharpen the saw and continue to grow. And if you are connected, if you're feeling what we're talking about, just join us and we're going to give our time, 2 or 3 hours. It's free because we want to support the industry to elevate. From there, there'll be more stuff in the group, more trainings, but it's a group to actually help therapists and coaches and healers to level up the craft, not just their business. Their business, we'll send them to you.
Fantastic.
And that's really what we're doing. The rest will look after itself. If people want to do more, mate, we got a rabbit hole. If they want to do more energy psychology, if they want to do the integrative stuff, that somatic hypnosis, they want to do neurosomatic dynamics, I've got a pathway. We got a pathway to make them a practitioner, master practitioner, and a trainer. In fact, we can make trainers in NLP, hypnosis, kinesiology, energy psychology. But that's down the rabbit hole, right? Yeah. You want to get the right people. When I say the people who are aligned and are ready to be able to go down that pathway. And our vision is that, in 2 or 3 years, we'll have 50 trainers in that modality out there creating this approach, neurosomatic coaching. We've got a matrix, 4 steps to focus on that will revolutionize the coaching therapy industry. A complete part integration, amalgamation of the past and the present to move into the future.
Nice. Brilliant. Find that group. Jump in. What's it called again?
The group is called The Rise of the Modern Day Practitioner, and the landing page to get to register to the Zoom event so they can find out about that, the mentoring, the masterclass, is called the coachingnetworksolution.com.
Coachingnetworksolution.com.
The coachingnetworksolution.com.
That's the one with you and James, yeah?
That's the one with James and I, yes. And James is going to bring, his knowledge, the research, the science. We're talking about stuff, and then he stops and says, here's the science with that. That's awesome. We know it's lacking in a lot of these training programs, the science to validate a lot of these tools and techniques that we work, because that builds the believability. And as we know, if the therapist has a greater belief in what they do, what did Andre Watson have to say? The client will not materialize what the therapist doesn't believe is true or think is possible.
Yep.
All right. So the more we help you have an undeniable belief in what you do, not only because of the research, but because of your competence in the knowing within yourself that you can deliver, that's where true confidence comes. Not hopping on a high horse of confidence and being hubris, being the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is opposite to the imposter syndrome. That's a syndrome based in psychology called the Dunning-Kruger effect. The people who know the most tend to feel they know the least, and the people who know the least tend to think they know the most. That's the findings of the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Brilliant. Well, we've been a part of some of your masterclasses, webinars. They're golden. So if you have an opportunity, jump in, find the group, find the website, register, see what these guys are about. And we've loved having you, Arthur. It's always an affair having you here in some way, shape, or form. There's high energy, there's learnings, there's aha moments.
And what? And you hit the nail on the head. I think the biggest thing for the takeaway, Connor, is the aha moments, the learnings, the ability to allow ourselves to stretch ourselves beyond what not where we're comfortable, but where our knowledge is, because growth comes beyond that, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're comfortable enough with each other to learn from each other, and know that what comes up for each other while we're together is our greatest opportunity for us to learn. Well, a lot of people discount that and miss the greatest opportunity. Great friendships, great relationships.
For those who don't know, this is how we would normally have a conversation off the camera as well. So we're just doing it on.
And we were before we got on camera.
We've had similar conversations. Like we actually started to get into it, and we thought we should actually turn this on for the day. And so yeah, massive thank you, Arthur. Really appreciate it, Cal.
Yeah, thank you, Arthur. Yeah, you got so mate.
And like just a shout out to all your listeners, everyone in your community, all the therapists and coaches, healers who are part of your group. I think it's not only a wise decision, but probably one of the best decisions of their business to affiliate with you guys to help them build a business. And also to congratulate them and honor them for being in this industry. Because I really believe there's not enough of us doing the work that we do for the people who need it. We're not in competition with each other, right? We need to be working together as a team to be able to make a dent into this pandemic, and not just present, but intergenerational dent in depression. So we clear it for generations to come. And when we do that, we're going to clear the past generations too. Perhaps our ancestors can heal too and lie at peace with the clearing from today. So that's really, I want to honor anyone in this community, because that's where they're at. That you're here because you've got a skill, you've got a magic, you've got a tool that you love working with. Just keep on showing up, being your best authentic self. And if you need help, the boys are here. Put your hand up, and that's how it starts. And many times we fail to put the hand up and we suffer in silence. But not in your group.
Thank you so much, Arthur. Well, that was the 7th episode of the Unplugged podcast. Thank you so much for being here. We can't actually wait to get you back. It'd be great to get James on sometime. If you're watching this live, or if you're watching the replay on YouTube or on Facebook, please like, subscribe, and share with anybody that you think will get a great deal of knowledge and insight out of these chats. And you can watch the other podcasts that we've put up. Like I said, we're at episode 7 now, so that you can watch 1 through to 6 on YouTube. They're up there, and we regularly post them on Facebook as well. Hey guys, Callum and Connor here from Connect Coaching. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Unplugged podcast. We're jumping in to let you know about something really exciting. If you are a practitioner, a coach, or a trainer in the alternative therapy modality space, the Forever Client Matrix is something that we've modeled
from the last 30 combined years, both Connor and my experience. And we've turned it into a 2-day intensive, and we want to give you a preview of that Forever Client Matrix.
Absolutely.
We want to make the bar for them to enter into that program very, very low and have them get incredible results.
I've sold about $40 million worth, and together we've sold about $100 million worth with our teams.
That's right. We believe that trust and reliability is the currency of the future. So if you want to turn every transaction to a transformational experience, if you want to turn every prospect into a forever client, then please click on the link below in the description and get instant access now to your preview of the Forever Client Matrix.
Enjoy.